Hey everyone, it's Norm Farrar, aka the Beard Guy here, and welcome to another Lunch with Norm, the e-commerce and Amazon FBA podcast. Today, we're going to be discussing 13 ways AI can accelerate your e-commerce business. We're going to be talking about what are the key ways AI can speed up your e-commerce growth, the AI tools and services that will help you get ahead, and why you are making mistakes in your business currently if you're not using AI. So welcome to another Lunch with Norm, the e-commerce and Amazon FBA podcast.
Lunch with Norm.
Okay, today I got my buddy on here. You hear me talking about him all the time, and that's Colin Campbell. Today, we discuss 13 ways to accelerate your e-commerce business. Our guest is the author of the #1 best-selling Start, Scale, Exit, and Repeat. He has co-founded several internet and technology companies like Internet Direct, Tucows, and Hostopia. He and his partners continue to launch new companies, including Startup.club, Paw.com, and Meowingtons.com. And today we're going to be welcoming Colin Campbell. But before we do that, I got a live read. Here we go. And this is about seller basics. Hey, Amazon sellers, ever faced with suspensions, ASIN hiccups, or IP headaches? Introducing Seller Basics, your Amazon account's guardian, which is $99 per month, or code NORM, $89 per month. Seller Basics offers a dedicated team to shield your business from these challenges. Plus, this membership offers free legal consultations from seasoned e-commerce attorneys. And there's no long-term contracts, and you can just cancel with a month's notice. You can view Seller Basics as your Amazon account's health plan, and you can check them out at sellerbasics.com. Now, for those disclaimers, Seller Basics isn't an insurer or law firm. Consultations come from independent firms. Results may vary. Membership is needed before events leading to claims, and terms apply. All right. Now, let's welcome the Squire of Blunderville.
Wow.
Hi.
Good to see you.
And good to see you too.
All right. Well, we've got a great episode today.
Why are you so mellow today?
I'm a mellow kind of guy.
But you're just like chilling.
Yeah. Maybe it's those shrooms that we're talking about.
Yeah. Or you're watching To a Pre.
Hello, welcome everyone. We've got Steve joining us. We've got Rad in the comment section too. Good to see everyone. And welcome to Lunch with Norm. We've got a great guest. I think this is got to be his fourth time on now? Third or fourth? I think so, yeah. So we've got a great episode today. If you haven't yet, make sure you sign up for our newsletter that goes out every Monday. We've got a new story out every single week from Norm's past. And we had a pretty fun one this week as well, which we asked a question to our newsletter audience. And we asked people how much money did it take for them to start their business. $50 or less, $100 or more, $1,000 or more, $10,000 or more, or $50,000 or more. What would you think, Norm, is the answer for your first business?
For Amazon sellers, I would say between 10,000 and what was the next one?
50.
Yeah, so I think 10,000 would be the most popular.
You are correct. Yeah, first place 10K, and then second was 1,000 plus. So we had
boy, that's hard. That must be all in arbitrage.
And I think it's not specific to Amazon. This is just the first business in general. So thanks everyone for voting. I love seeing the polls in our newsletter. So we got
that was a fun one too. That's another guest I should have on is Dave. We have a ton of stories, not so many that we could probably say on the podcast, but we had a lot of fun building a business, and it grew very quickly. But I also want to talk about, okay, we've got that newsletter and that comes out. Thank you very much. We really appreciate everything and all the comments that we get back on that newsletter. But just wanted to give you a quick shout out about what's going to be happening on the 30th, which is the launch of our podcast, our new podcast with Kevin King, where we go deep into marketing misfits. These are people who broke the rules to gain success. And we've already got about 10 in the can right now, but the first one is being published on April the 30th. So if you're interested in that, that'll be at marketingmisfits.co. Also, on the next day, we're having the AI webinar. And actually, Colin's going to be part of this as well. And that's where we've brought together 20 different, and this keeps changing, but right now it stands at 20 different people that are going to be taking part in this webinar. So mark your calendars. It's going to be awesome. And all we're delivering is value, value, value. These are actionable tips. There's 5 to 6 minutes long, and you're going to just be able to take all these different takeaways and apply them to your business. So check those out. Last thing is Kevin's BDSS. So that's happening in Hawaii. There are tickets available. In fact, if you look, I don't know if Craig's ticket was taken. He posted that it was basically half price. He was going to give it up, and he couldn't make it this time. But if you are interested, you can go to $1 Billion Sellers Summit and get a ticket. So that's it. I think we can get started. We can throw your comments into the comment section, but you can sit back, relax, grab a cup of coffee. Just a sec. I got to grab mine. And let's get started. Welcome, Mr. Colin.
Well, thank you for having me on the show. And I am looking forward to BDSS.
Not BDSM, call BDS.
What is it? BDSM?
No.
S&M.
Yeah.
$1 Billion Sellers Summit, right?
That's it. You got it.
All right. Well, stick with the name. But no, I'm looking forward to it. I'm flying in. We're giving out a free copy of the book, Start, Scale, Exit, Repeat, to every attendee. And I will be doing a couple of speeches there, really focusing on how to scale your e-commerce business.
Well, and I think that's important because especially what we're talking about today is another way that you can scale that business using AI. But it's so important. And that's one of the reasons why you've been so successful in business is you've been able to take it and apply it to each one of these modules, which I've been talking about on the podcast regularly, but especially scaling. I'm just kind of curious, like, how do you do this? How do you do this consistently?
I mean, it really is a formula. It took 10 years to write this book, and over 200 people were interviewed for this book. It really comes down to a formula of understanding the story, the people, the money, and the systems at each stage of the business, whether it's start, scale, exit, repeat. And believe it or not, the story changes, the people change, the amount of money you need to raise changes, and the systems dramatically change on scale. We begin to operate the company relying on systems more than people in the scale world.
So, and I want to make this clear. So you are with paw.com, Meowingtons, in the e-com side of things, but you've also grown a lot of internet and technology companies. Now, we're not talking about a $10,000 company, $100 or $1 million company. Some of your startups have been 8 and 9 figures, or when you exited, they've been 8 and 9 figures. And I just want to point this out because I don't want to come off as every time you touch something, it turns to gold. You've had some major failures as well, but you've always bounced back.
Yeah, and what I like about the book is we don't just share the successes, but we share those failures, those learning moments, those key moments in our life, and then we draw lessons from all those stories, whether it's my failures or other people's failures in the book. And then, of course, we talk about those successes and what it is that serial entrepreneurs do that is unique and different than other entrepreneurs, because I really focused on serial entrepreneurs and their behavior and understanding that because they have a much higher chance of success when they launch a business. In fact, I think it's double the chances of success for a serial entrepreneur than a first-time entrepreneur. We had a study that we were able to quote that from.
Yeah, I remember we were doing a form meeting. So this is part of EO. We all get together. I think there was 10 of us. And you walked in the door and your face was just white. And I think you were in your 20s still.
26.
And this is when good old it wasn't Internet Direct. It was
It was.
Was it Internet Direct with
Yep, it was
Charles?
Internet Direct.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you had a $1.2 billion valuation, and all of a sudden you got kicked between the legs.
Yeah, and that's one of those stories.
Yeah.
It was a really a good lesson on exit. We were a publicly traded company, number one fastest growing company in Canada. We sold it to a cable company, and we were locked up for 18 months. The dot-com crash happens. Bam, that stock that was $19 a share went down to 6 cents a share. And there's two big lessons we learned from that. One is liquidity or control. When you're selling your business, you got to think about that. And the second thing is bad things do happen. Remember 2022, the tech wreck, the crypto crash, the hurricanes, the Ukraine war, bad things do happen. So those were some lessons. But thankfully, it's never been easier to launch a startup than it has been today. And the reason for that is AI. AI is making it so easy and lowering your costs to get a product to market, whether it's e-commerce or any business. Do you remember back in the 90s, Norm, we paid $100,000 for a phone system?
Oh, yeah.
Right? Just to communicate with customers. Nowadays, it's $99 a month for a service.
Yeah.
And you don't even need that because they can go directly to the website. Well, AI is taking it to one step beyond that. And I have no doubt that within the next year or two, we're going to hear about, hopefully we'll meet them. Hopefully we'll meet her or him, whoever it is. We're going to meet the first solo entrepreneur who becomes a unicorn. And that's because of AI. AI has the ability to transform you into very different ways. Let me give you an example. It's like Tony Stark. You know Tony Stark?
Right. Yep.
Right? When he straps on that Iron Man suit, he became a different person. I'm talking about the earlier episodes. Like when he put that Iron Man suit on, that's like AI. As a startup, as a founder, when you strap yourself into an AI world, you're putting on that suit. You're no longer just a salesperson. You're a lawyer. You're an accountant. You're a tax accountant. You're everything. And it's absolutely amazing how it can unleash. So we should jump into these 13 areas that we did for Forbes.
Yeah. So, and that's what I was just going to say. So we're going to be talking about these 13 different ways you can utilize AI in an e-commerce startup. And this is an article that Colin wrote for Forbes. So why don't we just start off? And there's 13. I don't know where you want to go with this, Colin. How would you like to start?
Go with number one. I'm going to go with number one. If you do search the internet, you wanted to follow along, absolutely fine. Just search the internet for Colin C. Campbell and Forbes, or if you want to go directly to the article.
We could probably link it right in here.
Yeah, there you go. 13 ways AI can help accelerate your startup. This part one, part two. The first one we began to use at paw.com was AI for customer service. And there's a couple of different ways that we did it. We initially started using it with our Philippine support team to improve their language skills for email. But then we also began to use it. We implemented some AI that's in Zendesk. And we were able to reduce the communications between humans and our customers by 33% by implementing just some aspects of the AI that they were providing for their service. So that right away, customer service, it changes the game here. Yes, I know how important it is to have North American-based customer service or people who can speak English very well. But when we're talking about customer service that can be done through email or chat or otherwise, AI can play a significant role. And what I like about this, Norm, is that it not only can correct language, but you can set the tone. We've done, in the book, we talk about something called power talking. And this was a minor, major, a sort of growth hack where you can just change the language you use, by replacing certain words, like instead of but, replace it with and. Instead of I have to, replace it, I'd be happy to. And you can actually have an AI change the tone. So you're institutionalizing positive communications with your team. So that's the first one, customer service. It's a game
Okay.
changer.
But how do you trust that these emails go out properly? Because okay, let's just use AI, let's just set the tone, but couldn't these emails just be, couldn't they come out with the wrong message?
Look, it's very possible they can do that, but the reality is we're not seeing that. And we do have supervisors in the US who look at and monitor the flows of these emails and the communications. And look, it's not all perfect. Like humans still have to work with it. We're not talking about it being well, in some circumstances when the humans are sending out, obviously they've got to watch it and the managers have to understand what's going out and whatnot. But we do have some fully automated AI responses that were integrated into Zendesk so that people are getting responses. You're going to monitor that. And yeah, maybe it's 99.5%, and then you're going to push that up to 99.6, 99.7. But it is phenomenal. It's an absolute game changer. So don't let a couple of little issues get in the way of moving forward and launching some form of automated AI customer service method, and also helping to support business process outsourcing offshore.
Yeah, and it ends up being a better overall communication if it's done right.
And much more efficient.
Yeah. So
Right?
The
You
other
can deliver
thing,
much
so this
faster
is
rate.
number two is it was virtual CMO. So how do you see that being affected?
I think this is funny. So when we wrote this book and submitted it October 3rd, 2023. And sorry, that's the date it launched. It was submitted a few months prior to that. And so we never had the benefit of using AI in any way. I'm sorry, the book was submitted November of 2022. It came out October 2023. We never used AI in any way. We hadn't really, ChatGPT wasn't a thing. And we ended up in February of 2023, they had asked us to come up with the inside cover for the book. And I popped in the introduction of the book and I posted it on ChatGPT at the time. And I said, write the introduction for this book. It came up with what is today almost identical to what it produced. And how do I know it was good? Because 6 months later, when I asked them why they used the same intro on the book for the Amazon listing, why they didn't change anything, the people at Forbes Books said, well, absolutely, it was absolutely perfect. Like the experts in the industry, they said it was perfect. Right? It would have taken me days. I don't even have the ability to write what was written on the inside cover. I'd have had to hire a CMO, someone to do that. When I was in a startup club session on Clubhouse, we had this CMO on, and she was very, very good. I don't want to put her in any way, but I had a little challenge, and I said to her, can you come up with a tagline for Startup Club? And she came up with something like, it's a community of people coming together, and we all, they're helping each other out. Something fairly long. And I wrote into ChatGPT, can you come up with 5 taglines? And one of them popped up. Fuel for your startup journey. And it made me realize that the creativity element of AI really can help you put together sort of higher end marketing stuff that you maybe never imagined you could do before. And you can do that by using, and by the way, there's several AIs. We're going to talk about all the different types of AIs as we go through this today that can help your startup.
Okay, very good. And by the way, I remember I was in Fort Lauderdale. We were meeting. You guys were celebrating .club. And so we were all sitting around. You guys were having your wine. I was having my Coke Zero. And Jeff Sass was there. and Jeff's been on the podcast back in the early days. And Jeff says, "Hey, have you heard about this thing called ChatGPT or OpenAI?" And both you and I've never heard of it. He goes, "Yeah, take a look at it." And he was using it for poetry. And then you were amazed and you went, "Oh, let me write something for Kim." And then you also had a speech or something, but you pumped it in and you changed this poetry that you made for your wife. And that was really what you started using ChatGPT for, was poetry. Which
Well, I mean, yeah, it was like it worked for once. It worked one for the Christmas, that holiday season, but it didn't really. I couldn't reuse that again. That's for sure.
Yeah.
She
And
pretty much
sorry,
caught
Kim, if
on.
you're listening, that poem, that was ChatGPT.
Yeah, it wasn't me. But we're going to talk about that in a few minutes, how we can use it for content and actually apply personalization as well. I'm jumping
Right.
ahead now.
Now, here's one that I use quite a bit. And the third in the series of 13 is writing contracts.
Oh my gosh. This is that Tony Stark, put strap on the suit. You're now a lawyer. You're an amateur lawyer. We've cut at paw.com, we've cut our legal expenses down probably by 2/3.
Hmm.
And we do it in multiple ways. So for instance, yes, I've used it for writing contracts multiple times. You identify all the components, the jurisdiction, a few things. If you know the elements of a contract, you can pretty much put that in and it will draft the contract. Obviously, I would suggest get legal advice. So I'm not going to provide, I'm not going to say just go and use it and whatnot. Get legal advice. But I'm just telling you what you can do with it. And then maybe sometimes with that, you can go to a lawyer and say, is there anything I can do to improve this or make this, and make this better? But it does more than write contracts. It interprets contracts. And I've stuck it in ChatGPT and cut and paste contracts, and I'm asking it questions about payment terms, this scenario, that scenario. I just keep drilling down. It's amazing the kind of information that it can produce. I had to do a board motion for the board of directors. And so I literally, instead of hiring a lawyer, which we normally did in the past, I simply wrote out the motions, what I wanted to go through. And I said, write the following board motions. I was in a meeting last week, and we grabbed the bylaws. I'm a director of an organization for entrepreneurs, and we grabbed the bylaws, and I cut and paste the bylaws, and I said, let's add this amendment to the bylaws, and it wrote out all of it correctly with the right legal language, everything. Of course, I said to the organization, get it checked out. There is a time and a place for lawyers, right? I really think that, as startups, we don't have a lot of budget, and being able to utilize these applications and these AIs to help us accelerate our startup can reduce our cost of getting to market. Now, I've actually used Claude 3. I think that can sometimes be better than ChatGPT, as it can handle larger files. And I've done it. I've taken entire books and put them into Claude and have them do work for me on those books, write forwards and do things like that. So it's absolutely incredible what it can do from a legal perspective. And I just start thinking about using that first, and then maybe you're better ready to talk to the lawyer to reduce the hours you'll spend when you do talk with your lawyer.
That's absolutely bang on. You can write it up, but just don't send it out there. Just have it get reviewed. Are there any plugins or custom GPTs that you use, or do you use an app, or you just plug it right into ChatGPT?
I tend to go direct right now. We're seeing a proliferation of companies that are launching services, including legal apps and stuff like that. I know even at Startup Club, we're doing a business plan AI application, so to help people write business plans, but we do a lot of the prompt engineering in advance. I think it's important to identify those and utilize as many as you can. Right now, my experience is mostly using things, using the LLMs directly and using many different LLMs, large language models.
Okay. All right. So now let's talk about, we touched on it. You said, we're going to get into some content later on, but using ChatGPT to leverage content.
Yeah, look, we were paying at paw.com like $5,000 a month for, and then we went and looked at it and we realized that the company we were using was pretty much using, you know, they were using AI to write the articles. And what I also noticed when I did the analysis is they seemed very stale and corporate-y.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went back to the team and I said, guys, we have about 20 employees in the company. And I said, we all have dogs. We all understand, we go through life, we experience things. Why don't we write stories and personalize it? So, for instance, the first one that I wrote, I don't know if it's been published yet, but we had designed a shopping cart bag tote. So it's a bag tote that holds your small dog, but also it goes into a shopping cart. And I took photos of my dog in it, and she really enjoys going shopping now. And I tend to always put a number to it, like 7 reasons why you should take your dog shopping, or 9 reasons why you should do this or that. I always like to do that in the articles. But I personalized it, and I went as far as to say that this product was something that my wife talked about 5 years ago, and I brought it to the team, and they laughed at me. And now it's a hit on paw.com, a shopping cart bag, right? So I personalized it that way. I personalized it with my own dog and the name of my own dog. And by the way, it only took 5-10 extra minutes to do that. Now, when I write for Forbes or for other popular magazines, I'm not allowed to use AI in any way, and I use human editors. And it can be a little bit of a very long process. It can take me, that article probably took me about 8 to 10 hours to write, the one that we're going through today. There's 2 articles. And I had to have human editors help me manage, the editing. But when we're talking about the site, your site, this is an opportunity for you to become an expert in your industry and be able to provide information, whether it goes on a newsletter or whether it goes on your website or both. This is an opportunity for you to really brand your company, yourself, and be an expert. But what I recommend is, don't just run the generic articles, right? What you want to do is really try to find a way to personalize it, because right away, I see it with the reviews on Amazon. I mean, I love the fact that I get reviews on Amazon. We got a 4.8 stars on Amazon, and we love it. 147 reviews so far. But it irritates me when I see these sort of long written corporate-y, you could tell they just asked ChatGPT to write the review. I love it when I see a one-line sentence that says, man, this book was good, or something like it, because it was real. So I think humans, we're starting to get a sense of content, and we're going to want to, sometimes I use the words make it punchy, right? Use a lot of paragraphs, make it shorter than you probably would be comfortable with, those kind of things, to try to humanize it a little bit. But then lastly, Norm, make it personal.
Yeah. Yeah. And we had actually Marketing Misfits. I think it's the first episode, if not, it's the third, that they start talking about personalizing emails, personalizing content. So 100% bang on. And I just want to give a shout out to a couple of different apps that are out there. One is Phrase. Phrase has got a really great, unusual way or unique way of going out and sourcing material for you and then summarizing. So if you put in a keyword, it'll go out, it'll mind map, kind of like Answer the Public. And then you'll see the number 1 ranked article content for that keyword or for that question. Then you can take it, I guess 2 or 3 of them. You can send it over. You can have it summarized by your writers, and then they can either take that information, put it into ChatGPT, or write an article themselves. The other one I wanted to talk about, what was it? It'll come back to me. But there's another one that we use quite a bit, which really does. Oh, I know what it was. John Benson, BNSN, for especially marketing, communications, and blog writing. He's over the last 10, 20 years in copywriting, he was the guy who invented the VSL, the video sales letter. And he's come up with an incredible app that's still, it's not even in beta yet, but he offered it to me to try out and to Kevin, and just coming out with phenomenal copy. That Jay Abrams, he's taken all the best copywriters in the world and basically put it into this app, and the stuff that it spits out is just incredible. I don't know if you know John Benson. He's going to be at the on the webinar as well, but he's just such an incredible copywriter, and doing what you're doing right now and just outsourcing that, making it personal. This is what that does, and it's so unique. Okay, it is the bottom of the hour, and today I'm going to do something a little bit unique, and I'm going to put Colin on the spot. So typically at the bottom of the hour, I hold up this book and I talk about start, scale, exit, repeat. Well, why do I talk about start, scale, exit, repeat when I got the author of the book right here? So Colin, can you give us like a 30-second spiel on this book?
All right. This book is all about serial entrepreneur secrets revealed, cracking the code of what it takes to launch a startup and to scale that startup and to exit that startup, and then learn to do it over and over again. Listen, this book took 10 years to write, 200 interviews. It was written for the ADHD entrepreneur. We have 57 chapters. We have 30 illustrations, 200 callouts. You can literally, it's color coded all the way through. You can literally pick it up and look at a particular spot, a particular topic, and it really is comprehensive. It starts from every aspect of starting that business all the way to repeating. You know what? Entrepreneurship is a skill. It's a trade like any other trade, and you need to hone that skill, and that's what this book does.
All right. And the book is available on Amazon in Kindle, softback hard cover, and it's also on Audible. Now, Kelsey, do we have a giveaway today?
No, we haven't talked about that yet. So
that's
something
okay.
We're gonna have to
okay. Colin, I'm going to give away one of your books.
All right.
All right.
When you get the address, we'll send it out.
Okay, very good. And on top of that, we'll do a press release. So hashtag Wheel of Kelsey, tag 2 people, you'll get a second entry. If this is your first time listening, at the bottom of the hour, we always talk about a prize, and that prize is given at the top of the hour. And in this case, it's going to be the book Start, Scale, Exit, Repeat. And it's also a press release that we can distribute for you.
I will add something, Norm. We have around 100 copies left from the original 1,500 editions, which I personally signed and numbered. So we'll send that one out. If we also get the person's name who wins, we'll send that one out directly from our office.
Oh, fantastic. All right. That's bonus. And by the way, can I let the cat out of the bag of what's coming along with this later on?
Sure.
Okay. So we were actually sitting down one night having a cigar. Colin told me about this. And to go along with the book, I don't think it's coming out anytime in the next month or two, but it's a workbook. So entrepreneurs can work through each one of these different modules: start, scale, exit, and repeat. So that'll be coming out shortly. So look out for that. And it should help anybody who's going through their entrepreneurial journey, no matter what part of it or how experienced you are. Did I say that properly?
Yeah, actually, it's going to launch in mid-May. Start Scale will launch about 6 months from now, and Exit Repeat will launch probably about a year from now.
All right. I hope I get one in Hawaii, Colin.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go. Let's move on to tip number 5, or your point number 5, and that's editing your work.
Yeah, I mean, here's a confession, Norm. Even though I'm #1 best-selling author, I'm not a very good writer. And so it required a lot of human editors around me to help me get the book to a polished state. But when I do stuff for like paw.com, for the blog, or for the school that we own, I tend to write the articles out in advance, or even emails, or even reference letters. You know, anything we're talking about, I write it out in advance, and then I just have ChatGPT or Claude clean it up for me, and it does a wonderful job, and really can make you a lot more productive, so that you can produce a lot more when you're at work, and apply that work to more sales, hopefully, at your e-commerce business.
All right. And by the way, I'm just looking in the comments and I've noticed that everybody that's been putting in hashtag Wheel of Kelsey, except for Rad, you can enter a second time by entering, hashtag Wheel of Kelsey, which everybody's doing. But also, if you want to tag a couple of people, you'll get a second entry. Okay. So you don't do your own editing. Now, in prompting, it's very interesting. If you go and you want it to edit spelling and grammar, that's one thing. But if you're writing a blog article and you want it to act as an editor, you can tell it to act like an editor. And more information that you can drill down and give the prompt, the better. But you'll notice a significant difference when you reprompt and you put in act as a senior editor. It'll give you a completely different output. So just something to keep in mind.
I like that. And also you can say, write it in the style of the New York Times.
Yeah.
Make it punchy, shorten it. Like there's lots of things you can do. Don't fall in love with your first draft. You can ask for it. You can take the first one and then say, okay, make it do this or make it do that.
Right. Absolutely.
And I often will generate an image now with ChatGPT, with the DALL-E elements. I will generate an image for the article. The image for the Forbes article is from, that's the one thing I'm always allowed to use when I publish, is our images from ChatGPT. And often when you're publishing anything, having a corresponding image go with that publication can bring more attention to it.
Yeah. And now with some apps, you could just add a video just from adding basic text.
Yeah, so I don't know about the news sites like Forbes, if they would allow videos yet. I've been playing with Soro, I believe it is. That's the name. I can't remember, but yeah, it's just a little clunky. I haven't played with it a month. I think they're probably improving it a lot, but that's taking it to another level. And there's also music that's going to be generated through AI.
Yeah.
So many different things, so much content.
Yeah, Sparta is one that I just used for some Amazon videos that were pretty good. Also, Pictory does a nice job with text to video and a variety of other things. So those are two that I can highly recommend. All right, now let's talk about this. And I'm doing this with Kevin. We're building this new business. And so I'm building out the business plan. Where did I go? Live plan. What does it cost me? A few $100. But now with ChatGPT, you can use ChatGPT to help write a business plan. Have you done, and I know this is one of your points, but have you used it for a business plan?
I've used it in many ways to help a business plan. The first thing I'm going to suggest to any startup, any founder, is put the AI aside and write your own plan. We don't want to rely on consensus methodologies to launch a startup. We want things that are unique and different, sometimes things that go against the grain. So I often encourage people in the book, in the first section, we have something called the 4 sticky note business plan. And I often encourage people to set that business plan up first. It takes approximately 30 minutes. It'll be in the workbook as well. But then once you've done that, if you want to make it into an investor plan, then you start using some of the AIs. We have 2 developers at Startup Club who are working on businessplanai.com, and that's going to launch. It's another initiative we're doing. It's going to be an absolutely free business plan builder where you can go there, do your 4 sticky note business plan, and also produce a full investor plan. We've done all the prompt engineering in advance, like coming up with SWOT analysis, competitive analysis, risk factors, those kind of things that if you don't know the elements of a business plan, it may take you a few hours to figure out. So we've condensed that into probably a few minutes. And that's something we're going to launch hopefully at Startup Club in 2 months from now. So we're getting closer to launch, but it's just, it's something that, you can use again, like for a private placement memorandum, we paid $17,500 for a lawyer. The AIs can write private placement memorandums. If you can feed it enough data and information and budgets, you still have to come up with the projections, things like that. But if you can feed it with that, it can generate the correct style and format that you need for your business plan. And we're going to add to this. It could actually help you with your business plan, but we're going to talk about that in a point going in, in the part 2 of this article, where it could actually help you come up with some ideas. But I'm encouraging everyone as a founder to think about building your plan without any AI. Let's start with that.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. You want to make sure that you've got it to paper, and also it helps you understand your business. If you just let AI do a brain dump, it could add things there that, oh yeah, here's my business plan, but how do you implement it? And especially if you haven't read it, oh, I've got a business plan. Part of the experience of the journey is writing that business plan. And I don't know if you got anything.
No, I'm 100% behind that, and it is about that, and it helps clarify your direction and your moves. And again, if you've never written a business plan, don't worry. It's very, very simple to do, and we articulate it in the book, the 4 sticky note business plan. I teach this at a NSU at the Alan Levan Center for the free incubator cohorts, and it's done in 30 minutes. You can do it in 30 minutes. It's not finalized. You'll always be changing and adjusting, but you can take those 4 sticky notes, put them up on the wall, and remain focused, because you're right. It is a guiding post for you in your launch.
Right. One of the things, and I guess this is point 8, which is so important. And I've seen this with Brian McAulty with Heights. He's got it built into his AI platform, but this is a coach. And you could work with this in marketing, in sales, in building the business. But an AI coach, that's point 8, is so cool. You want to expand on that?
Yeah, and then we'll jump back up to 7 in a minute. And I know we're burning
Oh,
time
geez. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but let's stick with the coaching right now, because it is phenomenal. I had the opportunity to get to know the founder of Reebok, Joe Foster, and prior to him visiting this last time, I was working with Pi.ai. I find Pi.ai to be very conversational, and it's nice to be able to talk back and forth. And I use the female voice, and so I refer to as her. I probably shouldn't, but we have a bit of a relationship now. Okay, I admit it. And so I started talking to her about shoes, and how I do CrossFit over 50. All the shoes are made the same for everybody at different ages, but we could have a shoe that. And then I said, and she and I started going back and forth, and we're starting to come up with ideas around this, ideating. They said, well, what do you think a good name would be? And then she came up with one name. I didn't like it. And then I said, can you come up with something a little bit? She came up with CrossFit Prime. What a cool name for, people over 50 who do CrossFit.
Mhm.
And, that could be just this whole idea that you can work with them. And then also ask them, they can actually help you be a little accountable to your business plan as well. You can say, here are my goals. And with these goals, are they sufficient enough? And then it might come back and say, well, like we talk about in the book, we want them smart, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. And this goal isn't that. So you're going to want to improve that.
All right. By the way, anybody who's listening, we got a bunch of people listening right now. If this is your first time listening, we've got a prize at the top of the hour. It's going to be one of the books that we're talking about right now, and a press release, #Wheel of Kelsey, or tag 2 people. You get a second entry. Also, if you're listening and you want to post a question about Start, Scale, Exit, Repeat, any part of the book, put your question in there. Colin's here. He'll take any question. I can guarantee you, if you're thinking about a question, you're saying, oh, that's too newbie or whatever it is, somebody else is listening right now, and they're thinking about that same question. Okay, let's go back up. I missed one, and that's point 7, and that is lead generation.
Yeah, and I haven't used this one as much. I was on Startup Club. We were doing a show, and I literally went to ChatGPT and I asked it to, write a reason why someone should join Startup Club. And I read it out loud, and it was absolutely phenomenal. I could never have written a sales letter as effective as this one. And I know now there's a lot of programs out there. I haven't played with them yet, nor maybe you have some thoughts on this one, that you can use for personalized lead generation as well. But I will say this is that the vast majority of lead generation is it's very stale. You can smell it really quickly. It's got to be personalized. It's got to mean something to the individual that you're targeting, and AI is a tool that can help you do that.
Yeah, and we've talked about this. Kelsey and I have talked about this on the podcast with influencers reaching out, and how do you really optimize this? And that's personalizing it already on their channel, commenting them, follow them, and letting them know that you're actually a fan. And how do you do that? And there's a lot of influencers out there, but you have to personalize these emails. You can have the body of it might be, 2 or 3 paragraph might be just generally automated, but you got to put some personalization in there. And that's for anything. Again, just talking about the sales letters early on. What's the trick? What's the trick with emails? It's personalization, and that's in packaging. That's everything nowadays. If you can personalize it, you'll get a much better response.
All right. Number 9 is computations or even coding. This is interesting because you could be an amateur coder and actually write some pretty sophisticated code using AI. For me, it's, sometimes I get caught with these, I do a lot of real estate transactions with our real estate company, and I get caught a little bit on, okay, what's the interest rate if it's 25 years and it's APR and I got to, every month, the interest, whatever. So I like to sort of just describe it in the AI, like whether it's Claude or whether it's ChatGPT. I feel like ChatGPT works better for this, but I like to do that. And by doing that, I'm able to get the response back that I need. So it's sort of like going back to my first year of college mathematics and trying to understand these. Actually, it was calculus, if I remember correctly. Now, first year of calculus, and try to understand the numbers and complicated equations. And that's something that, again, I would have had to rely on a CFO somewhere to help me figure out. And even going onto Google and trying to ask it just didn't really deliver, where now you can do a lot more with an AI.
Yeah, even using spreadsheets, or if you want to understand shortcuts, and shortcuts is incredible, but formulas, anything like that, or if you're looking at creating a pivot table or different ways that you can utilize a spreadsheet, this is something you could just pop right into a prompt and you'll get the answer right away. It's fantastic. All right, let's talk about the next biggie.
Yeah, knowledge and research. I mean, typically, what do we all do? We go to Google, we ask it a question. So we were asking after we published the book, I went to Google and I said, tell me where I can apply for awards for the book Start, Scale, Exit, Repeat. And it came up with a list of, independent publisher award companies or organizations, more organizations that you can send your book into, and they pick and choose who the winners are. And then I did that on ChatGPT as well, and I was able to come up with a bit of a different list. And it's interesting that Google picked up some here and ChatGPT picked up some here. So I think the combination of the two can make your research even stronger.
Have you checked out Perplexity?
I'm going to talk about Perplexity on point number 11.
All right.
You jumped ahead of me.
All right. Okay.
And I have a little Perplexity hack for people too.
Very good. And number 11, very close to my heart.
Yeah, and why don't you talk about this one, Norm? But one thing I did do is I used the Perplexity AI. And what I was able to do is I went and got the rabbit. And if you buy the rabbit, I don't know if this is still on, but if you buy the rabbit, it's $200. And then you get 1 year of Perplexity AI for $200. So you get that for free. I didn't really care about the rabbit, which is a device which I'll play with. It'll have a little bit of fun,
right?
Whatever. I just wanted the Perplexity AI. But instead of paying Perplexity AI $200, I went directly and got the rabbit. So there's a little bit of a hack there. And it's great for press releases because it's a more up-to-date database, and it also quotes
Connie's
sources.
saying hi to you, by the way.
Oh, hey, Connie. Well, I was just looking at Perplexity AI. I wasn't looking at Norm. Hello, Connie. We're taking them for a week to Hawaii. Too bad you're not coming with us. Oh,
She doesn't know that yet.
okay. So Perplexity AI, I asked it to write a press release for Start, Scale, Exit, Repeat. It went into Amazon listings, reviews, pulled out 2 or 3 of the best quotes from the Amazon reviews, and the release was unbelievable. I was so impressed with what I saw around it, what it could do. So if you're looking for an AI that will give you sources, and also an AI that can give you more up-to-date information, then that's one of the ones you should use. Look, I use 5, 6, maybe 7 different AIs. So there's really an AI for that. You know how there was an app for that? There's an AI for that. And I purchase every membership I can buy because it's the most efficient dollars I can spend. I even bought Grok, which hasn't produced anything for me yet. So I'm not gonna.
What? I haven't heard of Grok.
Grok is Elon Musk's.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I haven't been able to make use of that one yet, but Perplexity is one of my favorite.
Yeah. Now, you just said that it went into Amazon, extracted the best information, insights from the reviews, and then came up with this press release.
Yeah.
Can it do that with competitive analysis?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, ChatGPT can as well, but it's older, right?
Yeah.
So it's older. I think I don't know when the last install was, but Perplexity is just more up to date, and it can absolutely do that. You can do that for your business plan. You can do SWOT analysis. You can you can do you can do a lot of that. You know, you could have it go. I'm working with a company we've invested in called Pensilla. They haven't launched their platform yet, but you can go to it can go to your listing on Amazon or on your website, and it can pull that down, and it create dozens of email marketing. It can do advertisements for Amazon or advertisements for Google and Facebook and whatnot. So there's a lot of different applications you can use it for. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about a whole new world right now.
Yeah, a simplified world. But I'm just wondering, to give, you got to take away. And I don't know what that's going to look like in the future. Yeah, I have no clue. But is it creating the jobs? Where is it going to take away the jobs? Just very interested to see what's going to be happening. There's a lot of content writers out there that are looking for work. And I just know
a lot of lawyers, a lot of programmers.
Hey, yeah, a lot of, just think of it. Just think of from drivers. So, you know, with the self-driving cars to the whole world is changing, and you've got to be on the forefront. We talk about trends. We talk about thinking forward. You just don't think for today. You've got to think ahead of yourself. It's a chess game right now. And if you're not doing it, you can very easily, my dad, for example, he was in the shoe business with a ton of other businesses, but he had the foresight to take a look at what was happening in China, and he got out of the business and he went into a different direction, which, you know, luckily he did, or he would have been like 200,000 other people in Canada got lost their jobs. But anyways, let's go down.
We're talking about e-commerce companies. We're talking about some people can't afford to hire all those people. Like a paw.com can hire 20 staff. They can't afford to do that.
Yeah.
So but they're not experts at doing advertisements on Facebook. So consider using applications. Consider, utilize and go direct to the AI. You know, use Perplexity, use Claude. Claude's great when you have large files, by the way, large file sizes. We're going to want to use Claude for that. Absolutely freaking fast. It's amazing as well.
Yeah, I've got that premium membership over there too, and it's worth every penny, like $20. Okay, let's talk about 12, which is social media.
Yeah, and I've actually sort of been touching upon that already. But this is something that that you can do directly, or you can get applications. There are a lot of companies coming out with this type of service. I mentioned one, Pensilla, that's going to be out in about a month. And in that one, we'll do everything from create your social media and your advertisements, but it'll also will schedule them and post them, sort of like a Hootsuite on top of the creator and the AI. So think of it like a combination of 4 or 5 different applications in one using AI. Look, I mean, you might not be an expert in social media or advertising. Do you need to hire somebody for $100,000 a year or hire an agency? And hopefully I'm not getting anyone in trouble here, Norm, or can AI provide that, especially in the early stages? And by the way, it's only going to get better. It's not going to get worse, right? And understanding that, yes, I think there is a role in this e-commerce world for agencies. I absolutely believe it. Pod.com, we use several agencies to help us, even with an AI world, okay, to make it stronger, make it better. But the reality is, if you're starting out, this is the kind of stuff you need to be using AI to help you launch, and then you can A/B test it. A/B test it with what you're doing and what you think is good, and what you did with your AI and what you use for prompt engineering.
Yeah, everything Colin said about agencies does not. He's not talking about our agency. Our agency is very, very good. All right, let's talk about the 13th point.
Well, it's just use apps that embrace AI. So for instance, it's by the way, it's proliferating everywhere. There's a lot of companies out there that you may have been using in the past, but you may not know they have those features available. And so you're going to want to keep an eye on that. One of them, we have a goal-setting platform software that we use in our incubator with a lot of our companies. And sometimes it can actually be a little challenging to come up with which goals. I mentioned they're specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Coming up with that and understanding all that can be a little bit tricky. So the app, what they did is they created a version of how to create those goals. You just had to click the button called Ask Patrick within that platform. You're seeing it with LinkedIn now. When you write a LinkedIn post, it says, "Would you like to use AI?" Now, sometimes I'll click that button, but to me, it's not as effective. I'm just throwing that out there. So sometimes these, because then it becomes generic, it doesn't become real anymore. So almost 95% of the time, I want it to be punchy Colin that comes out with something that I'm talking about that is in my language. And I don't think the LinkedIn AI element works quite there, but I'm just pointing that as an example of an app that uses AI, and it's proliferating throughout, but you've got to look for it.
Right. Okay. I think that's it. Is there anything else before we get into our question today?
Well, I'll tell you this, AI will mint more millionaires than any other tech shift in history. You just got to embrace it.
All right. That's it. Let's Kels question. We do have one, right?
Yes, this one's from Bartnet. I think this is for both of you, but it's a quick one. Why are you sharing your knowledge and experience with others? After today, I'm going to look into it, so I'll share my comments, I guess, in future episodes. But yeah, why are you sharing your knowledge?
Because we have $1 million masterclass, and if you join up to our no, I'm joking.
Yeah,
hold
it. Let's pull up the Lamborghinis and start shuffling cash.
People have asked me this, and I do speeches as well for Entrepreneurs Organization. People often ask me that question, why are you doing this? And look, I've been very successful in my career. I'm involved in about 20 companies right now. I'm primary shareholder in about 10 of those companies. I absolutely love startups. I love giving back and helping out. There is no masterclass. We don't sell anything. We have a club called startup.club, which you can join, and we do live shows on Clubhouse and Entree and some other things that we do on that club, but it's absolutely just to give back. That's it.
Yep. And then from my end and the podcast or whatever we're doing, look, everybody, it's the give to get mentality. By doing a podcast like this or doing our newsletter or providing content or posts, if we're helping out somebody, that comes back tenfold. And I've learned that 20, 30 years ago, that by helping and not asking all the time, that it does come back. And that's 100% why we do this.
And if you do purchase the book and you like it, pay it forward by doing a review on Amazon. We all know how important reviews are on Amazon. And that makes a huge difference for me. That fuels me too, by the way. Reviews. I work for reviews just to placate my ego. That's it. The reviews. No, that's the fuel that gets me going.
There you
No,
go.
it's very, very important. And I really do appreciate every review we do get.
All right. Hey, Kelsey, let's do a sponsor and then we'll go over to the wheel. By the way, hashtag Wheel of Kelsey to get entered. Facing cash flow challenges with your e-commerce business? Discover Viably, your ultimate financial ally. From real-time sales data integrations to immediate funding access, Viably is here to support you. Plan your growth with their free tool for online sellers and engage with specialists whenever you need. Extend your cash flow with Viably. All right, let's go to the wheel.
It's time for the Wheel of Kelsey.
All right, here we go.
Okay, so I'll shuffle these up, give it a spin, and let's see who today's winner is. If you are the winner, please email me not only your name, but also your address too, so we can send you a special copy
Alan.
of the book.
Congrats.
Congratulations, Alan.
Alan, is that a first time win?
I think so. Maybe once before, but I think that's the first time.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so that's it for today. Mr. Campbell, thank you so much for coming on.
I really enjoyed it. I absolutely loved it.
You mean you'll come on again if I ask you with about a half hour's notice?
Yeah. What was that? Exactly.
Yeah, sure.
Half hour ago.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to the Hawaii. I think it's going to be incredible and meeting so many great people. It probably is the Amazon conference of the year.
Yeah, I can't wait to get out there. Kevin always does a great job. All right, Colin, we're going to remove you. If you can stick around for a second in the back, I'll come back and see you in 2 seconds. All right, everybody. Kelsey, where are you, sir?
All right. Thank you, everyone, for watching today's episode. If you do have any questions or comments, please email me, kate@lunchwithnorm.com. Maybe you have a guest suggestion or a topic idea. We're always love to hear it and try and give back as much as possible. Also, make sure you're signed up for the newsletter. The links are in the description too. And I'm going to be probably posting this in the WhatsApp group. But yeah, let us know if you're going to BDSS. We're looking forward to seeing everyone. That's coming up pretty soon.
We'll definitely have a cigar night. We know that for sure. At least one, probably every day.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, that's going to be happening in a month, and hopefully see you there.
All right. Fantastic. So if we don't, well, keep listening to the podcast. And there's other ways that we can communicate. And by the way, if you tried to log in and you had to go to a different channel today, it's because Facebook came down and said we couldn't share in the group anymore. And that's right across the board. It's not just us, it's everybody. So it's just the page, YouTube, and I think LinkedIn. Are we?
We're pausing LinkedIn just to see if we can drive more traffic to the page and YouTube, just to give some space for posting for LinkedIn. But Facebook just announced that they no longer want third-party platforms to stream into Facebook. You have to stream just from Facebook. So we are still sharing the episode into our Facebook group, but you won't be able to stream from the Facebook group. So if you don't want to miss it, for sure, just sign up to our Facebook page or YouTube channel.
All right. Very good. And thank you, Jessica. Colin's always great to talk to. Okay. If you want to get more communication, more content, you can listen to the podcast, sign up for the newsletter, check out our WhatsApp group, which is very active, or our Facebook group. And that's it for today. Join us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at noon Eastern Standard Time. Have a great day, and we'll see you on Friday.
Lunch with Norm.